What's up, all? Welcome back to Born to Create. So, for you guys who don't know, Born to Create is a simple concept. If who or what you want to be doesn't exist, you go out there and create the life that you want. Today, I'm super excited. I'm super amped about my guest. I met Mr. Allaire a few years back in Vegas at a live event. When we couldn't live events, so we talked, we connected, and I was been super impressed with what he's been doing. And I saw him on social media a few times in private jets. So I'm like, you know what? I have to get this guy on here and see how he's, getting these private jets. So, Ryan, how are you today, bro? How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much, Anthony, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very welcome, and thank you for blessing us with your time. So let's just hop right into it. So, we met at, I think it was Joe Lavery's event, right?
Yeah.
About webinar. So talk to me about really what you're doing now and what you've sort of created so far as a business, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, cool, for sure. So, our main focus is a few different areas. And like you said, we met at Joe Lavery, who's, he's a well-known webinar guy, and he's worked with Russell Brunson on webinars. So it was such a cool experience to go there and, see exactly what other movers, shakers were doing and what Joe was doing. So again, it was so cool to see what you were doing as well, because people, what I realized is they have all these different messages, right? But the same mindset, the same, focus in common, which is, creating a business, creating an offer. So the funny thing is, right, is people see the success today, like you mentioned, the private jets, and, we live in a 7,000 square foot home, and, movie rooms and arcades, and that stuff's cool. But the reality is, I grew up poor, right? I grew up with, one time we had 7 people living out of a motel room. Right? I watched my parents struggle with drugs and, alcohol, and, those were just the reality of my life. So the thing is, it's cool to see, where you can go, right, and what's possible. But the truth is it didn't start out this way. It was very everything but. I didn't have any silver spoon in my mouth. I found a mentor that went ahead and they shared with me what they were doing. Now, sorry for the intro, but but to go ahead and to circle around, what I do today is several different things. And my mentor taught me these things at a young age, right? Funny story, I went to a birthday party at the age of 14, and how all this became possible was I saw these beautiful homes, and the only time I ever saw these things, was when I was watching MTV Cribs, or, when I saw athletes. I remember Shaq pulled up in a Hummer, and he had this custom Hummer, and I'm like, oh, one day I want a Hummer, right? And I would see him in music videos and on Forbes magazines. And funny story today, I have one that we're giving away in our business. But the funny thing though is, it didn't always start out. So I went to this birthday party, and they had these beautiful vehicles, nice home. And I said, what do you guys do? What is it that makes this possible, right? Because before then I figured, hey, you have to invent something, you have to know someone that's rich, you have to have family. That's how I thought you became rich, because me and my family weren't rich, we were everything but. So he said my father does marketing, and they sold supplements, and they also sell through direct mail. And funny thing, back then I didn't know what that meant, right? I was like, what do you mean direct mail? And it's actually snail mail, right? It's sending out letters. I have some examples to show you, but it's sending out letters to people and getting them to respond. And they sold supplements, they sold all different products. And that's when the wheel started to spin. I said, wow, this is possible. Anyone can really do this, right? Without a special education, without a doctorate, without hitting it in the big times, right? And that's what I thought, only way you could become successful, right? Becoming a singer or having this amazing talent. But truth is if you have a cool little process where now, we've kind of coined this, it's our mailbox secrets, right? And when we use our mailbox secrets in marketing in a little process, anyone can sell any product, right? And it's just, plugging in the pieces. So today we sell supplements, which is funny because my mentor sold ones. Yeah. So we have 2 Amazon brands. We're in the top 1% supplement sellers on Amazon, which we've produced millions with. We also do a lot of different type of mentoring and also helping people get their offers in utilizing direct mail.
Right.
So we're actually working with some of the biggest names right now on bringing their marketing systems, their product series on utilizing direct mail. So it's been a fun project, a side thing with our agency. You know, we have a handful of like celebrity clients. We work with Paula Abdul in her whole Vegas residency. And, you know, we did stuff, which was funny. That was also a direct mail campaign.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to utilizing those mailbox secrets. But the funny thing, right, is I would see these things on TV. I would see these nice lifestyles. And when I was a young kid, I used to think to myself, wow, how could I get that, right? And I always knew one day I would achieve it. I would see the nice car, right? And you know, not to sound cliche here, but the people where I grew up that had the nice cars were drug dealers, right?
Yeah.
So I was, oh shoot, they had the nice rims, they had nice cars, they had systems. And I would used to visualize myself in these vehicles, right? And like, oh man, I would have a nice car and rims. And we had this old piece of crap speaker sitting next to one of our TVs. And I would sit, you know, as a 9-year-old kid up by the speaker and pretend I was driving a nice car. And, you know, they'd drive past my house with their bass on and I would, you know, pretend that I was driving the nice car. And the funny thing is back then I didn't know, right? I was focusing on going after what I wanted and manifesting. People call it manifestation today, or, you know, setting goals and going after them. And back then, you know, it started then to like knowing, hey, I saw people that were successful and I knew, you know, I didn't have to stay where I was.
Right.
So, you know, it's been a big process with helps from mentors, with, you know, from people that have really extended the olive branch. I'm very, very blessed. Joe Lavery I met in 2010, you know, and it was at a marketing event. No, I'm sorry, 2007 at Big Seminar. It was Armin Morin's event. They just had the $1 Million Day. John Reese was talking about that. Yeah. Russell Brunson, his keynote was how he took his business from 6 to 7 figures. And that was like his, you know, his big accomplishment was, you know, getting out of college as a college kid in debt to now he has $1 billion company, right? Which is pretty cool.
It's really funny how you mentioned some things you mentioned, because, you know, before we get actually into the, you know, the business or like, you know, because I mean, I want you to, if you don't mind, you know, just really break down, you know, like what you're doing. But before we get there, I think it's important that people understand like how you got here mentally, because this business wasn't created just out, you know, just out of like thin air, right? You had to be somewhere mentally to actually be in a place to actually build your business. So you mentioned, you know, one thing that's important is like visualization, right? Visualizing what you want before you get there, because a lot of people think that that's just, oh, you know, hocus pocus crap, but it's actually not, right? It works. So talk to me about, you know, you mentioned mentors. Talk to me about exactly how did you become a person to start visualizing? How did you get your mindset? I mean, where did the mindset come from?
For sure. Yeah. And it came from my mentor, right? And so it's funny, right? I went to this birthday party. I was starting to talk about that. And when I started to get connected into the family, so before I knew it, I was connected into the family, right? And before I knew it, I was going on trips, experiencing a whole new lifestyle. So it was almost like this real life rich dad, poor dad scenario, right? That was going on. But it was really interesting because I would see what my mentor did that my parents didn't. And I thought it was really weird and kind of stupid, if I'm being honest with you. Back then, I would see these little posters, right? These little words and sayings. And keep in mind, this is $1 million home, right? And this is a beautiful home. So I've only seen things like this in magazines, and you know that's the closest I've ever been to something like this. But then I started seeing what this person was doing and what they would listen to, what they would look at, what they would. So to me, I said, wow, well, you know, maybe that's not so stupid after all, right? I said, because I'm going back home, right? And, you know, my parents would have their water turned off. So we were one time in a motel, then they started renting out homes. And, you know, there were small little 1-2 bedroom homes, and we would have electric turned off, water turned off. And that was a reality. But the thing is, you know, the funny thing is I would kind of tell my parents what I would see, and they would say, oh, that's stupid. That's the brainwashing.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. A light bulb went off because I said, well, how do I want to live? Do I want to live like this or live like that? Right. And so it was funny. That's what started to precondition me, right? And being open-minded. And I'll be honest, I was very skeptical for even years and years and years, right? My teenage years, I still kind of poked fun and made fun of it. Funny story, around this time, I started working for the company in the mailroom, and I would lick envelopes, and I would go ahead and, put packing labels on and ship out their product line. They had a product line.
This is a company that the party,
yeah. Right. Yeah. So my friend's father becomes my boss, right? And at the time I'm working at McDonald's. So a few years go by, I'm working at McDonald's, and I'm like, oh, this job sucks, right? Because I'm covered in grease, and I'm making fries, which they have an amazing system, and I learned a lot looking back how they operated. But at the time I was 14-year-old kid. I'm like, oh man, this is terrible. So I was able to make $2 more an hour working for my friend's dad in the mealroom. So, oh my gosh, I can be an AC, I can
no grease.
Music. Right, exactly. No grease and like no high pressure, right? 30 cars coming through the line trying to all get fries. So I'm like, heck yeah. So I thought I struck gold, right? Because I'm making $2 an hour more than all my friends. Back then, minimum wage was like $4.15, right? Or $4.50. Yeah. So it's funny, right? I sound like one of those old men now where back in my day, for 50 cents, I had a whole week worth. I'm not that far back. Minimum wage, right, was $4.50. So I was making $5-6, which was huge, a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's what got, and the funny thing is they had a personal development line. So they would play those audios, and I would just hear how, just thinking differently, right? Being receptive, because here's the thing that I related to, right? And you're in great shape. I know people at the mastermind we were at were asking you about your physique. I know you do a lot with personal training, and but a lot like having success in the business goes with your body, right? And I was once 100 pounds heavier than I am now, right? Because I got into my business funk and was focused on the money and the making it work because I had to, right? If not, I was gonna be broke, and my family would feel the consequences. So I had neglected my body for a period of time. I made $1 million, but I gained 100 pounds, right? But what I did was same thing I did in business. I found a mentor. It was a personal trainer that charged me $400 a month, and I visited them twice a week. And I got accountability. And they said, hey, Ryan, to lose this 100 pounds, you got to start moving around. And what do you want to do? And I said, I want to lose 50 pounds at first, right? And this is what I think with business. People want to make the million, but you have to have your first, $10,000 month before you have your first, 100, because $1 million to break it down is about $100,000 a month, 75, 80 grand a month.
Right.
You make $1 million a year. Now we do that in multiple businesses every single year, multiple millions. But the way we started out wasn't just by losing 100 pounds, like, your body. It was by how can I make my first $1,000 day or my $500 day or $100 day, right? And then you get to tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, because it goes down to mindset, right? You talk about conditioning your mind. Before you can look at yourself losing 100 pounds, you're going to look at yourself losing 20 pounds, right? And you said, what do you do to do that? So I got conditioned. I started eating different. I started going. And the funny thing was, it wasn't drastic changes. Same with business, right? You don't have to do these drastic things. And now you just have to take those little baby steps that get you to the end result.
Yeah.
And then it becomes repetition, right? It's like your muscle memory. The more you do it, and the more muscle you build, the more fat sheds off. Same with your business, right? The more you go in, you're doing these type of interviews, and you're doing this work that most people don't want to do. They don't want to do the work, is the reality. But when you continue that repetition, right, then it opens up your mindset. And that was for me, right? I was being continued to repeat, hey, I'm going to go to work, start out here. And then I became an affiliate manager of this direct mail company. And Mike Filsame, don't know Mike Filsame with Groove Pages? Well, he had a product launch called Butterfly Marketing. And, this was a huge launch, one of the biggest launches in the internet marketing history. And I got to be a part of that with my mentor. And, on a small scale, but what I got to do is I got to go ahead and meet all these huge marketers. By my mentor promoted his product, had huge success. And then that got us into the internet marketing world. And that's a funny story. That's when I met Joe Lavery around that time. But how I got to have those experiences was from that repetition, right? It was in that mill room and having the mindset of, hey, I can have that next thing. And when I turned 18, so it took me a couple of years, I got to become an affiliate manager of this company because they were going from an offline company into an online company. And Google AdWords launched. So my mentor paid for me to learn Google AdWords through a guy named Perry Marshall. who was the AdWords founding father,
Yeah.
the very first guy to have a advertisement course on AdWords. And so and again, the funny thing is back then we had success with Google AdWords, but the same analogy with losing weight or starting your business. I went to this workshop knowing nothing, right? And created my first campaign, lost a little bit of money, created the next campaign. Next thing you know, I was making money through Google AdWords when, before the Google slap happened and a bunch of people felt that effect.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is just backtracking back to mindset, it all correlates, right? And for me, it's building up that resistance. And it was that repetitive where I was going on vacations as a young kid with my mentor and with my friend's family.
That's crazy.
And so I'm like, oh, this is possible. So then I got, making this money. The cool part was I was able to make a commission base off of the business that came in. So people like Alex Mondosian, Sean Casey, Matt Basak, Mike Phil Same, Jeff Walker, right? Russell Brunson. We were able to do these really cool, back then they were teleseminars, right? This was before the webinar because everything was still audio, right? People would call in, they say, hey, I'm gonna call in this phone number, get on, 500 people, and then they would do similar to a webinar, but it was all virtual.
I remember those.
Audio. Yeah.
I remember those. Yeah.
And so the cool part was I was able to get commission off of the business I booked, and I was able to go ahead and then I said, oh, now I start making hundreds, more dollars a month to thousands. And at 18, 19 years old, I'm making, $5,000, $10,000 a month in some cases, which is huge. It's life changing, right?
Yeah.
So then more of that happened, right? And then it graduates to the next level, because the crazy part about this, right, is I end up losing everything, right? So I go ahead and I have success, right? So I get through success with the mindset, right, of, hey, have to be, repetitive, have to show up. I was booking JV deals. I was moving up the rankings in this business, right? And I became a lower level partner, in other words, as a JV broker, right? So I was making a partner percentage on the business coming in. And so I'm focused, right? I start to achieve things. I'm buying dirt bikes, right? I have a nice Cadillac, right? I'm getting limos and going out in Tampa and partying, going to these marketing events, and everyone's out having the high life. And to me, that's what I was after, right? Remember, I was a poor kid, and I would see these things in music videos, and people would talk about these things. So for me, it was like, yeah. So, but get this, man, my worst nightmare comes true, where I despised watching my parents party, watching my parents, have that lifestyle take over them.
Wow.
It takes over me, and I lose everything at the age of like 22. Yeah.
Wow.
So get this, right? How that happened? By, same exact thing. I was hanging around people that weren't positive, just like how before, right? When I was, growing up in poverty, I removed myself from that and got around people that were having success and was focused on that. Then I achieved that. And then unfortunately, a lot of those statistics that they say, sometimes it happens. I went back to that lifestyle. I went back to kids I grew up with and, that negative stuff. And it brought me right back down. And before I know it, I lose everything.
Yeah.
So how I got out of the funk is the same exact scenario.
Hold that thought. So before you get to the bounce back, I want to talk about something real quick. You mentioned how you worked at McDonald's, you worked in the mailroom, and the theme you're talking about, as far as showing up every single day, that's a common theme, right? That I hear in people who are successful. And I read the book by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect, like 5 times, right? The compound effect, how you have to do these small things every single day that yield big results, and it's not always sexy things, right? Things you don't want to do. You can't see the results today, but you're building, right? Routine. And when you mentioned working at McDonald's, working in the mailroom, and a lot of people want to jump right into the millionaire status, right? They want to jump right into making millions, and they despise small beginnings, right? Your small beginnings got you to where you are now. Your small beginnings help you build your mindset you have now. And if you didn't have the mindset that you have, it would have been super, super difficult, or if impossible, to bounce back. Because I believe people can stumble upon making $1 million, right? I mean, it can happen, right? But if they lose it, what's their bounce back like, right? And your bounce back is based on your mindset. Now, talk to me about the bounce back.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head, man. And to be fair, I know people that never bounce back, and I believe maybe they will, right? Who knows? They possibly can. But just to go backtrack, Joe Lavery and I know people were, they were doing huge table rushes and the biggest name speakers at this event to today. No one knows them, and they're struggling to get by. Yeah. So I'm very humble, right, and very fortunate for the bounce back, and I believe a big part of it comes down to mindset, right? Because I very well could be still stuck in that same spot, right? And just like how we talked about when I was working in the mailroom, working in McDonald's, right? It's difficult because you obviously appreciate it a lot more after you get through those times, but you have to really work hard and appreciate those times to get to that next level. And what I mean is I had to start all over, right? I didn't just jump back into a multi-$1,000 monthly job or tens of thousands or six figures, right? There was a big build-up period. And at this time, I developed an addiction, right? And I'm on opiates, and I'm living in Florida, and literally, go from having a beautiful condo and, this, what I thought was the, cool life, to losing it all in a really quick time. And in that period, I said, you know what? I have to do what I knew I did originally and get away from the negativity, get away from the chatter, get away from, because that's what's keeping me there, right? So I actually moved cross country to Wisconsin. Wow. And how that happens is as a resource, because I work really hard, right, and I had success. So someone reached out to me, like, hey, I remember you worked with this company and you were doing really cool things. I'm wanting to do something similar. Can we work with you? And they were just curious on what I was doing. Well, they didn't know this, right, that I was like, lost everything and all this negative stuff happened. But I said, you know what, the crazy part is 2 weeks before I received that phone call, I remember saying a prayer. Like, oh my God, and I'm not here to get religious or trying to push anything, but for me, I said, hey God, I said, help me out, and I really need to find a way, and if you help me with this, I promise I'll change my ways and live for you and do cool things. And I had this mindset of how I wanted to have a family and help people, and we're very blessed to where we do one of the biggest Thanksgiving give backs in our local area. And this is our 6th annual doing it. So, so that's the cool part, right? The reason why. But to backtrack, when I was relaunching, right, I that was my first step, was the getting away. So at first, I literally had like $50 to my name. He gave me an advance, so I had a little bit of debt. So I paid off some debt. I didn't even have a license, right? Because I had this ticket that I couldn't even, my priorities were so jacked up. I had like a $75 ticket. I didn't pay that, and I lost my license when I was in Florida, right? Just because, it's crazy looking back. So obviously it accumulated, right? Now I have several $100s worth of fines, and I didn't get arrested or anything like that. But that's where I was at my life, right, at that time. So he gave me an advance to go move to Wisconsin to work with him. And I pretty much used that money to go ahead and pay off, fines, get my license. So I had a license when I was going cross country, and I packed everything I had up in a little suitcase. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna, I got some, some of the medication I was taking to bring up there and to wean myself off is what I had in my mindset, right? And I'm gonna start this new life. So I pack everything up, $50 to my name after paying everything off, get an airline ticket and fly to Wisconsin. And within the first day or two, I go through all the rationings I had to because I don't know if you know anyone that went on opiates, but it's a terrible addiction. And it basically, the opiate it makes you physically addicted. So if you don't have it, you can have withdrawals and all these nasty symptoms. Well, fortunately I'm sober, clean, right? Thank God. And I was able now, do some really cool things in those areas, trying to give back. But at this time, right, this was, oh my gosh, going on 9 years ago now, I fly to Wisconsin, and I thought I was gonna be a responsible drug addict, right, and get off these things, and I ended up going through everything. But I said, you know what do I do? Do I go back home and get back on drugs, and or just continue the drug cycle? I'm on drugs, right? Or do I get clean and sober and say enough's enough? I'm gonna change my life. So I was staying in this ironic. I'm back in a motel room, right? In this little motel room. This one was actually nicer than the one I stayed in as a kid. Because I had a pool and a sauna. It was old and outdated, but I got to sit in the sauna every morning. I swam some laps and went in this office, right, and went to work. And and I went to work with zero pay. At first, there was no guaranteed pay because I was seeing if I was going to make this work, right? And remember, I'm indebted because he gave me an advance to pay off my debts and all that stuff. So I'm going to work just serving, and the project we partnered on is a dud. It doesn't take off. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I showed myself to be valuable enough, right? That we worked on something different that did take off, and it made a bunch of money. But get this, right? So now we're making money, but I get screwed over in a business deal. And, so I'm like, oh man, I'm sober, right? I'm going to church, right? I'm changing my ways and what I was doing before when I was running the streets and making bad decisions, and came all down to mindset. And now I'm getting screwed over, right? So money's coming in, but I can't even get access to it after all my hard work.
Things like that kind of make you want to go back a little bit, right?
Big time, man. I had a lot of resentment, right? And I thought that, like, man, I should just go back to Florida. But I was nervous to go back to Florida because I knew, well, shoot, if I get back on drugs, and it's really going to be, a mess, and who knows. So I for 2 years, or no, it was about a year and 7 to 8 months, I go through just fighting it, and I'm even kind of spiteful now coming into the office, right? Because this guy's taking advantage of me.
Wait, you're not getting paid. You're still coming in?
Well, so I am, but I'm making like $1,700 a month.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
That's and actually that's like my big months. I'm making like $1,000 a month.
So you're not getting paid, basically.
No. So my rent's $650, right? So my car payment was $150, insurance, So I'm like literally every single month bouncing checks just to go ahead and make a float, right? I'm like, I remember this one gas station where I lived at, I was able to bounce a check, meaning on Wednesday, I could, every Saturday he would do a deposit. It was a small little gas station. So I would put like $20 in my gas tank. I would buy bread, some peanut butter, milk. Yep. And I would write this check, which actually was hot, but I knew he would deposit it Saturday, and I'll get paid on Friday, right? So it was terrible because, it's that broke. And I remember thinking, oh man, that like pit in my stomach, when I would log into my bank account, and like, oh man, it was like terrible times. But I knew I gotta stay at it. I knew, so I would walk this riverbed. And funny story, right? If you look over here, I live on the river to this day. But I would, across the motel, there was this river that, it's funny, now it's like 20 miles down the river. And I would think of living in a home on the river. I would think about, hey, I am going to make it. I am going to go ahead and, have something positive come out of this. And funny story, I started dating this girl. I met her at this book Bible study, and we start dating, and I'm like, oh, so that was my reason why, right? To go, I said, I want to propose to her. I want to put $10,000 in the bank account, and I want to go ahead and, buy this Hummer, because I wanted a Hummer. And
that Hummer, huh?
yeah. So I wanted to buy a dream house, or I'm sorry, a dream wedding. This was before the dream house. And I had my reasons why, right? So crazy story, right, is I quit that job and created my own product series, and I launched it through direct mail, what we call our mailbox secrets. Yeah. And I make $70,000 in 90 days. Yeah. It was in less than 90, it was like 70 something days. So it was within 3 months. And that's not all profit, right? There was, of course. I started off with $4,000, so I started off with $4,000 that I borrowed from a friend, and I went to work, and every single day I did like 12-hour days, and was totally focused, laser focused. And I relaunched this product series. And the cool part was I bought a ring for my wife, right? Who's now, we have 4 kids. And I went ahead and within 6 months, we were able to get married in Tampa, Florida, in a beautiful resort, and, dream wedding, and paid for every penny. And it's been, really cool, because since then it's all mindset, right? And it's all going back to, having your first, staying consistent, staying to the grind to make that, to make that, have that breakthrough and to achieve that. Same with your body, right? You don't just become this massively muscular person and have a lot of strength. No, there's the build-up process, and today I still have pitfalls, right? We still have, it's not like it's smooth sailing and everything is 100%, perfect, because that's far from it, right? There's never 100% perfect. But the cool part is today, I gotta say my problems are a lot different than checking my bank balance when it was negative, and how am I going to come up with a couple $100 just to get into the green, or just to become out of the red? Yeah. And now I know that I have another, 2 weeks till I get paid. So, it's what I owe it to, though, is going back to my mentor, right? And today I showed you that before we started this call, I showed Anthony this plaque that says it's in the mind first, and then magic happens, and then it says reality second. Yeah. And I believe
the Air Force.
I'm sorry?
You mind showing it again?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll show it to you. Yeah, so funny. So get this, man. So the story gets crazier, believe it or not. This is the
In the mind first, reality
second.
second. Yeah,
And
I
it says
love that.
magic happens.
Magic happens. I love
And
that.
I truly believe this because so funny. Remember I talked about my mentor, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
long story short, right? I ended up doing my own thing and got on drugs, and we parted ways. But we reconnected about 3.5 years ago, and that supplement business that we're in the top 1% on Amazon. He's my business partner in
Really?
that business.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, actually, I'll show you an example of that. Here, I should have been more. I had it right here on this countertop. But we sell, supplements like this, and these are our brands, and basically what we focus on is Amazon's platform.
Okay.
So we have the same marketing methods that we've been using for decades now, direct mail, and the funny thing is what I learned is when you know the process, when you have the right mindset, the fundamentals, the making money part becomes easy or easier, I should say, right? Because now you know what it takes to do it. It's kind of like lifting weights, right? Once you do that, like whatever your max is, right? Or for me at least, right? It seems like that becomes easier, right? And then you can do it a couple of times, and because you're getting stronger, right? Same thing in a business, right? Whatever, making $10,000 in a week becomes a lot easier when you achieve 5 million in a year, right? Because you do the math there, you're making, $5,000-10,000 a day on average. So
you know how crazy that is. I mean, because you're talking, and I'm listening. I mean, your story is like super inspiring. I mean, it's like hands down, it's just like inspiring. But I'm thinking that no matter what level you're at in business, you can always improve your mindset, right?
Right.
Because if, for example, me, I'm listening and I'm thinking supplements, this is so saturated. You can't sell supplements. I'm thinking number two, direct mail. Direct mail is dead, right? But you're telling me this stuff is actually working today.
Right. Big time.
So,
yeah.
So it's like it's all about your mindset, no matter where you are, right? So it's not just focusing on one platform, whatever, Facebook, Instagram, Google. You can do whatever you want, and what's dead to some is living to others, right? So talk to me about. I mean, because supplements, I thought it was just super saturated. How do you get to the top 1% of supplements?
Yeah, and so how we do it is very simple, right? And we come down to the core of having a good product or good traffic stream. So good traffic stream, and we love direct mail. So we do things like, for example, we just did this Supreme Oreo giveaway with a lot of marketers, and we sent out a letter like this to them, and it was lumpy mail, so we sent them out literally Oreos, which this has nothing to do with fitness, right? So different market, but just fun. These are limited edition Oreos that were, trending so we sent them these two things and said, hey, if you have this, check out our direct mail case studies. We'd love to show you how we're doing cool stuff with direct mail. Enjoy these Oreos, and we're doing a cool give back. If you can eat those Oreos in the quickest time, you can win $1,000 for your charity.
Wow.
So that just created a conversation, right? Just created kind of got the momentum. And this direct mail piece has already made us 6 figures with other people pushing our products from giving people Oreos, right? So it all comes down to your mindset 100%. So we're not obviously giving away Oreos to achieve supplement clients, right? Different customer base, but similar. We have postcards, we have direct mail pieces that we use as follow-up because we know people are interested, right? There's a ton of people that take supplements every single day. Me and my family spend tons of money monthly on supplements. Funny story, only one out of like our 35 product line we actually buy and use. But the point is like you said, it's all mindset because the guy that I purchased this home from, right? He started his real estate business in 2008. Guess when the worst time was to create a real estate business?
2008.
Everyone knows the housing crisis industry, right? Yep. Everyone knows that year that has been involved with that or any time heard of that. Long story short, his family or he is purchasing a jet, and it's $18 million.
Really?
Talk about mindset first. He's talking to me like you and I are talking right now, right? Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and it's $18 million. And that's actually the down payment. The jet's worth more than that. Right. That's cash. And I'm thinking to myself, and when did he start his business? 2008, the very worst time he could possibly start it. Today, in 2020, he's one of our clients. He's the 4th biggest builder in the Twin Cities.
Really?
Yeah, and crazy story. I met him from purchasing this home, and he became a client of mine. And I actually negotiated $100,000 off the home to do a direct mail campaign for his business. So the home it's 1.7 million. We had 7,000 square feet. And the funny thing is, right, is starting off at a motel room, right, and having vivid memories of my parents, having these hard times, and but staying consistent and true to the end goal.
Yeah.
Just like the losing the weight part, just like, building the business, because you could always quit, right? Because the thing is there's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be the perfect product. There's never going to be the perfect scenario, because if I waited for that, I would still be at the motel, right? I would still be in Florida. I would still be, stuck. And my point is, I'm not saying my way is the only way, right? Because funny story, just like I'm talking to you about my buddy, his way was real estate and residential homes, and he's built those, and now they're in the top 5 of the whole Midwest. But when he started that business, because the company he was working for went out of business and they went bankrupt, and he found himself completely jobless. He said, shoot, what do I do? He said, this is all I know. He did this since he was in high school. And he said, I'm just going to go for it. And he started his own business, literally the worst time in history to create a housing, a development company. And he's talking to me like I was talking to you. How we're talking, I was talking to him on him buying a jet. It was looking like December. So, it's kind of funny when, you look at these things, right? And you kind of realize it's just all mindset, right? It's all, what do you believe, right? What do you think is possible? And what can you keep doing to just achieve those small wins, to build up that muscle memory to get to that next level. Yeah. And, and it's funny because, now there's days we have $50,000 days. I've had $100,000 days. Right? We've done, $500,000 in a single day. And I never would have believed that was possible. If you told me 10 years ago, you're going to have a $500,000 day, it's like, no way, because my goal, because I wanted to make $1 million, but I didn't know what it was like to make $10,000 in a day. So how was I able, or $3,000 a day would have been insane. And to make $1 million, you must average $3,000 a day for all 360, so that's what I've realized, right? Is it's just continuing with that mindset, having that focus. Mine is Fino, and I'll send you one of these bands. It's failure is no option. It's kind of like our mantra.
Oh, nice.
And I have that mindset. I remind myself, failure is no option. I'm not saying failure doesn't happen, because it does happen. Right? Come on, it's going to happen, right? We had some stuff in our business happen recently. We have stuff that's going to happen, right? Stuff that cost me. Now it's funny, it's all different mindset, but I have stuff that cost me tens of thousands in some cases. Some small mistakes will cost me $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. So stuff will happen. But what do you do, right? Do you allow it to stay, or say, no, you know what, it's not going to be an option. I'm going to go to the next level and just keep pushing and keep that momentum. So, and then you have 50,000, 100,000, right? Then you have those other days that are really good, and that's what you're after, right? So for us, it's very simple, right? It's getting a good on how we're doing this with our supplements, with everything that we sell, is having a good traffic source. And for us, we're biased on direct mail. Then also having a good product, and then having a good business to sell it, and a good. And we're big on high ticket backends. So even our supplement stuff, we focus on how can we get back end clients to spend more money. Right. And to this case, it's to do a continuity, or maybe buy multiples, or buy other products that are more expensive.
So your direct mail sends them to your Amazon store?
Yep. So what we'll do is we have a follow-up process with that. So so we acquire the customer through our marketing that gets through the Amazon purchase, right? The Amazon checkout. And then we have a follow-up sequence.
Okay. So how does that work? Because I'm thinking that doesn't Amazon own the company?
They can, yeah. So there's different things you can do, and you're right. What we do is there's certain products that we fulfill, right? So in that case, you get the data when you fulfill it, right? So that's, and there's go around. And you're right. Amazon's very difficult because they control their buyer, but we still, find a way to do our process. But to be more traditional, right? This product right here made me literally remember I talked about how I got married and this was what I sold. It was called the Home-Based Business Bible, the truth about home businesses. Right? And I found a segment base that were people that were interested in home businesses.
You found a what? I'm sorry?
Oh, a buyer base.
Okay.
So these were people that said, hey, I'm interested in a home business. I want to supplement my income. And so there was buyer bases, direct mail leads I was able to access. So then I wrote a letter like this one right here on the Oreos, but it was saying, hey, instead of saying, do you want our direct mail case study and eat Oreos, it said, do you want a learn on how I've had success with home businesses? Because the other business I worked with was a business company out of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And that right there, was allowed me to go ahead and people purchased this product for $49. So it becomes a number game. Send out 1,000 letters, right? And it cost me about 55 cents a letter.
Right.
So let's say $550. I sold this for $49. If I had a 1% conversion rate, it means I broke even. So if I sold 10 of these for every 1,000 letters, which is 1%, that means I broke even. Well, I was averaging 2 to 3%. So that means every, batch I sent out, I double, triple my money on the front end. And the cool part, back at here, I had products that we went ahead and we sold and we were collaborating with that I made thousands on commission. So it's all numbers game. Out of every 10 people, we had 2.5 of them. So obviously there's not a half a person, but it was 2.5.
How does that work, right?
Right. It was 25% of people took action out of it. So 2.5 out of the 10. So every 20, we had 6 people, and that spent more money. So it's all a numbers game, right? And it's all
they
that.
They got a hard copy of that.
Right. Yep. And then, so just to kind of close the loop on the follow-up, we had letters that we sent out, and they were case studies. They said, hey, listen, here's how we sent out this, 500 letters promoting this product and got back this return. Are you wanting to do something similar? Because a lot of people were involved in MLMs or involved with, different type of things. So they were able to put themselves in the shoe of, oh, I can get people in my business, right? So same thing with supplements. We would show case studies. Hey, you want to know how Susan lost 25 pounds? Then there, or our stuff was gout, right? We allowed people to work again. This one guy had a lawn business and his knees had gout and he couldn't really function. But this product alleviated a lot of that, a lot of the acid, and it gave him some more, strength. So that was the story. Hey, you want to know how Dell was able to alleviate his pain and work his
You know why I like that so much is because I do a lot of guys, a whole lot, and you're limited on what you can say, what you can do, what claims you can make, and you get shut down for one little word that's wrong. Right. So I like that because in direct mail, you can say anything you want. I mean, of course, you have been offensive at all, but you can say
right, exactly. And you want to keep it within, right? I never recommend being unethical or doing illegal. But you're exactly right, though. Stuff that Facebook polices, right? You can't even use the word pandemic in a Facebook ad. Right. You can say, because they don't want you coming off of like the what's that? The mongering, the fear mongering. So Facebook. I have friends right now that use the word pandemic and their accounts got slashed and they almost lost their, they're very serious on it. That actually at the last WebinarCon event I went to, that was right before the pandemic. We had a meetup 2 weeks ago, and that was the #1 ad account that's getting slashed was people that talked about pandemic because Facebook didn't want to associate. So if I said, and we said, in one of our campaigns, we talked about the pandemic. You own the lead in the source, so you can say whatever you want. That's supporting your business and just having a conversation to indirect mail. So you're 100% right. And do you have a physical product that's a book or a series?
Yes.
Perfect. So what you can do is the people that are getting that, you just do a follow-up sequence, right? So let's say day 7. I'll show you a really. You have a minute, and I'll show you some cool stuff.
Definitely, yeah. This is great for me. I almost forgot I have an audience on my channel. It's like this is for Anthony right here.
Hey everyone. So anyone can do this, right? And can you hear me okay? I have a mic.
I can, You're
okay, cool. So direct mail, the reason why I love it is because it's made me not only a bunch of money, but it's been transformational for a lot of our products, a lot of our clients. People had hedged. And so this is one of our exact follow-up letters, right? So I show the book people buy. So they make the association. Because people that purchase things in certain niches, typically they're buying it in every niche, right? So unfortunately, people, they get confused. They say, oh, what is this again? Because they purchased something the night before, right? And I'm guilty of it myself. So we say, no confusion. Here's what you bought. Remember us. They say, yeah. Then we say, cool, here's our case study. And then we show a case study. Then we say, contact us. And the way we do this to get their attention is once they spend at least $97, we classify them as a serious buyer. Because usually if someone spends $100, you have people in that pool that can spend thousands, tens of thousands.
Yeah.
In some cases, we've seen people spend 50,000, 100,000 in some industries, right? We work with a lot of different industries. With creative homes, we sell products for $500,000, which is a home.
Right.
So thing is, if someone purchases something on a smaller level, odds are is they can get financing or money to get something next if they want it. They want a new home, they want a new car, right? They'll get the money and acquire it. So the way we do that, right, is we send out, our own invite, right? Some of them are like awards, and we do cool little things that keep pushing them through the process. So 7 days in, we say, hey, here's your award for completing the course of whatever it is, right? So they say, wow, they get associated to it. Then we say, we'll send them a letter and this money bag, right? And we'll say, hey, listen, you're losing money on the table, so we want to send you this money bag so you can collect it, and or you send them a bag of money. This cost you 55 cents, right? So does this make sense to send someone a 55 cents bag of money to get their attention to spend
yes.
1,000%?
Yeah.
How much does Facebook ads cost, right? For a retargeting ad, you can spend $1, $2 per click on a really good traffic source, right? So one of our best lead sources costs us $7 per lead, or no, $14 per lead, and then we're paying like $7 to $10 retargeting. But it makes sense because we're acquiring $100 buyer, right? So does it make sense to send them 50-cent thing to get back a big buyer? Of course. So here's some cool ideas, right, that we use. This is called lumpy mail because it gets your attention. But you could send someone, a Frisbee, right? And the Frisbee has the direct mail piece in. You literally put the shipping label on here, postage, and this piece you can send for like.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It costs you like under $3. So again, we qualify these people with buyer prices, depending on, some people will send a $100 gift basket to you because they spent $1,000, and then they'll spend $5,000, right? And it's not about just spending more money. It's about taking care of the people that are paying you.
Yeah.
Because it's not, again, I don't do this. I want to really take care of my customer. I love my customer, right? We have something in common that and we really want to go ahead and support them on that. And people, I think where they get things confused is they're just focused on making the dollar, right? No, I don't want to spend any money because it brings down my ROI. But what I realize is the more you invest in your customer, the higher the ROI gets. So there's an example, right? One of the things, we've had success with the partner was a coconut. You send them a direct, you put your shipping label on here, and it was, a landscaping company, right? And they said, hey, we want to make your tropical paradise in your back here, right? So again, you want it to be congruent, right? Here, this is really cool, right? So they get this, shows up at their doorstep, right? They say, what is that? And they feel it. Like, this is weird, what I get. And they pull out a silver platter, right? You give them whatever, Is it corny? Of course. Is it kind of stupid? Yeah. But you know how good this works?
Grabbing, right?
Right, exactly. Right. So I'm not here to say like it's not corny or it's not, because I'll be the first one to say like that is like so foolish. But until you do it and you get money that comes back from it, because here's the cool part, right? That we're after. And I didn't want to do this because, it's kind of, but I want to show you, like, I'm not just blowing hot air here, because we get stacks of checks, right? This is ClickBank that, sends a stack of checks, right? We get like literally, people pay us through the mail all day long. And the way we do this, right, is through a very simple process. It's by sending out our direct mail pieces, selling a product, and then they go ahead and send us, orders back. So again, like I'm not trying to boast brag. I'm not gonna like do a meal party and show one at a time. You see those on Facebook. We'd be here all day. But my point is it really does work. These methods, right? This is what we do in our business. And just to kind of finalize this a bit more. This is a needle in a haystack, right? So there's a needle in here. You found, and again, corny. It's a bottle, and these cost pennies on the dollar to send out. Literally a couple of bucks with shipping for each piece. There's your imagination. You can almost do anything nowadays. But yeah, man, direct mail. I'm passionate by it because
you are blowing my mind right now. I mean, have you seen that emoji? That like emoji?
Yeah.
That's me right now. It's just crazy because I'm thinking like I'm not the only person that thinks direct mail is dead, but it's so many people going towards online marketing, Facebook, Google. It's like it's leaving room for people like you to take that and just like take over. I'm thinking, wow, that's crazy. So I definitely need to change what I'm doing because my focus is all digital platforms, right? Facebook.
What's funny, I mean, the funny thing is we're like in a direct mail, I'm calling it the direct mail renaissance, meaning, right, it's a time of place where we can go ahead and, because when I was working for my mentor in that mail room, it was competitive. We're talking, this is the 90s, right? Early 2000s. Direct mail was very alive and well.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is we've continued it, and all the competition has gone away. So our numbers are even stronger than they were back then. And now, because now the cool part is, as an employee, I didn't really know the numbers, but since I partnered up with my mentor and, now a business partner, he's sharing what the exact numbers were back then. And he said it was super competitive. And we're, doing double, triple the numbers today, and spending less because the competition isn't there.
Wow.
So yeah, man, we're big advocates on it, right? Obviously, we're biased because this 2 Comma Club award is 100% was created from offline marketing. So this was no Facebook ads, no YouTube ads, all through direct mail. And then we have multiples, and we do Facebook ads. We're not here to like throw stones, because we obviously retargeting. See, here's the thing, right? Direct mail has changed because people used to just send out a letter. But what you can do now today, right? You can send people to websites, right? So what we do is we have our points of contact.
I love that.
We have website. They can send in a check money order, like we showed, like right here, right? They can go ahead and go to an order. But when someone goes to a website, what do? We retarget them, right? So now they start seeing you in the mail, in Google ads, on your Facebook ads. They go on YouTube. Oh my gosh, there's Ryan again. So it's like, how can't they do business with us is kind of what we do. So it's direct mail 2.0, is kind of how we say it. So
mention it. So whatever offer you're doing, like say you're doing book, the home-based business book, right?
Yeah.
So on Facebook, on Google, you can target people who are interested in that. How do you target with direct mail? Can you target? If so, how do you target?
Yep. Great question. So there's 2 ways of doing that, right? And we get our lead sources through a couple different ways. The best way, in my opinion, is having a buyer base that you can access through lease. So meaning what's called a data card. So they'll say, hey, these are people that purchased, the supplement. Their demographics are from 18 to 24. One of, for example, like the brain stuff, right, for college kids, or the tropics, right? But then the funny thing is that same supplement can be marketed to someone in baby boomer or older for memory loss, right? So you can get specific demographics and different, income based. They can get really, really, detailed. Now, the more detailed you get, the more specialized it gets, the more expensive it gets.
Right.
So if they're going to go super in depth and layer all these things, then your lead can get up there.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to doing tests. So we do small tests. And try to go ahead and get the best buyer. Some cases people say, hey, in that home-based business example, the data card would give the exact purchasers that they purchased previously. So they say, hey, they bought this product in the home-based business industry.
Okay.
So I would say, okay, cool. If I saw some correlation in that, then I would give it a test, and then do 1,000, 2,000 names. If I got back, my 1% was break even, right? So if I got back 1% plus, I knew to reorder. So so we do have list brokers and people that we work with. There's 2 ways of accessing data files or getting a demographic read, which is like saying, hey, I specialize with people that are fit, working out, and giving them a certain criteria. Because the crazy part is one thing I realized is people, buyers, right? And funny story is one of the buyer bases on a supplement we had. People also watched. It was with baby boomers and older people, right? But they all watched the news channel, right? We realized, so they were actually able to go ahead and get news channel lead sources, people that were subscribed to getting weather channel. I'm sorry, not news channel. So the weather channel, right? So people, and think about it, who would, you and I would jump on our phone, right, and check the weather. So who would go to the weather channel? Someone that's older, right? But to get this, it's a step further. People subscribe to it to know what the weather, almanacs are, and so it's really an old person thing, right? This particular supplement crushed it with that particular buyer base because so what a good list broker, they'll find trends, right? So, okay, maybe your supplement, people like to go shopping at, I don't know, Gucci or whatever, right? Maybe like at the sporting goods store or, Sports Authority, or, right? The funny thing is when you have a good lead broker and when they start, identifying who your avatar is, who your buyer is, they can get very, very targeted and really crystal clear. And that one example, a lot of people happen to be associated to the Weather Channel. So they said, hey, with this offer, let's just give it a test. And it actually was the highest converting test.
Wow.
So yeah, so you never know. You know?
That's absolutely amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I'm really speechless right because I thought this was going a whole different angle, but you totally surprised me. So, do you think, in your opinion, does this cost less than Facebook advertising, or around the same? Or?
So I mean, and I'll say, and it just depends, right? Because my big thing is ROI, right? So some lists will maybe cost us more money to get in front of, or more to run. Like, for example, if a follow-up campaign with a lumpy mill is going to be more money, right? So so maybe you're spending $5 a piece, but the conversion can be huge, right? So it might be $5 a piece, but you're going after $2,000 sale, right? So so it depends on what we're doing. So some of our back end follow-up can get more pricier, right? So if you're paying, a penny a view on Facebook, right? It all depends on what type of ad. But I would say, yeah, because like conversion ads, you pay for them, right? So if you're doing conversion ads, or if you're doing, depending on what type of ad structure, very well, it's way less than those type of, ad costs.
Yeah.
So I call it ROI, return on mail, right? And we just look at the lead source, what's come in on the front end. And that's only one number, but another number we look at on what comes in on the back end. Because sometimes maybe there's lists that do 0.5% on the front end with this list, but it's doing 45% on the back end. Well, it makes sense to take a little less in the front because the back end is so rich that's paying $1,000 to $20,000 on average. So,
and that book is something that you print yourself, or like you like?
So funny. So actually, full disclosure, this is out of market, and I don't sell this anymore.
Yeah.
I use this as an example.
Yeah.
But we do have our own printers now. So funny, just to answer your question, I tested everything, right? And I went to my mentor's office when I was a kid, and they had these huge printers and all this stuff. And back in the 90s, 2000s, it made sense to get Xerox printers and all that stuff. Nowadays, with print on demand, I mean, oh my gosh, I can, for pennies on the dollar, have stacks of books printed up. So I went that route, right? And I right now in my office garage, we have these huge $10,000 printers that are big paperweights. And I made bunches of money with them at first, but I realized when time went on, I was able to get better contracts on 1,000 books made up, because now I'm paying people to sit in the office to make the books. And then the printer goes down, right? Now that's costing me money. And so what I realized is, hey, for $2.50, I can get this book made, and maybe it cost me $1.80, but you always have those problems, right? You have volume go up and you have a drum blown or whatever. I realized that week being down, or that headache and hassle, isn't worth, right, saving the 20 cents per book.
Right.
So, because it ends up costing you way more. So today, 85% of the stuff we do is outbound. We still do like a lot of fulfillment. So we get the books from a local print shop, and then we fulfill, we assemble, not meaning assemble, we have different books now, but do cover letters. We do like inserts with the DVDs or a thumb drive. We have an entire kit that we send them, because our goal is to create an experience, right? We want to be different, because the thing is, everyone's doing webinars. Everyone has the perfect webinar, right? We do these 3 points. Once we do these 3 points, we go into the pitch, and which is, hey, I'm not throwing stones because I made tons of money with that model. But what we've learned is, in today's experience, people want an experience. So we do a webinar and give them the physical version. So the webinar is basically transcribed. There's the book, there's cliff notes. So it gives them a actual, experience compared to just another webinar, right? And people read it, they consume it, and as well as I do, that's the goal as a marketer. It's the lifeblood is eyeballs and marketing. So the more time people consume your stuff, then the more money they'll spend. And so that's what we do, is we create it very easy for them to do that. So we create these booklets, these DVDs. Some people prefer DVD over thumb drive. What we realized is direct mail clients love DVDs. They want
Today?
Yeah.
20? Wow.
But a Facebook ad, they'll want the thumb drive because they're more in the virtual world, right?
Gotcha.
But remember, the person's watching the Weather Channel to get their weather update, right? So they want to get this. One person said, "Oh, is there a way to get this on the VHS player? I said, well, no, it's a DVD. They didn't even know what it was. I said, oh my gosh, that was one customer out of thousands. But
So, two questions. So,
yeah.
is there any physical product that this direct mail option will not work with, or you can do anything?
No, we've done it in, fitness world, supplements. We've done it with metals, with, precious metals, silver, gold. We've done it in the travel business. Right now, that's not a good business to be in. So you're right. So to be crystal clear, like my buddy has a real estate seminar business. Well, the last 9 weeks, it wasn't a good idea to run direct mail to get people to pay to show up in a conference in Las Vegas to run real estate. So 100%, you have to watch the market, right? Depending on what's the time. I never would have thought we'd be in a situation like this. So right now, that's not hot. But as far as like a particular product, not at all. It's really what it comes down to is
clothing.
Yeah, we do tons with apparel, right? And again, it's just depending on what what you're selling. The big thing is, right, is knowing your numbers, right? So if you're making $20 on a shirt, well, to acquire the customer, if you send out a 9-cent postcard to possibly acquire them, but how many postcards you're going to send out to get the $20 shirt, right? So you have to know your numbers, is what it comes down to from my experience. But when you know those numbers, it makes it really easy to realize, does the direct mail campaign run with or not, So now if you have a really cool brand that's going to open up the door to have people spend more money, and then for sure. Direct mail, I would say, is more for like a brand / mission marketing compared to like the one-stop shop, or hey, this is take it or leave it type, products. So because you are making that staple, that impression, so if you have a limited time, and I take it back, because there are things we do sell that have a limited time and seasonal things. So you want to get that word out there and get it in front of them. So again, it just all depends on what you're selling, how much, and what price, and your numbers in the back end. Yeah.
And what about direct mail? Do you find all ages, or is it certain all ages?
So it's funny, to answer your question on that, it depends on the marketing channel, marketing avenue. So if we're doing like Facebook ads, right, and we're sending out booklets and USBs, a lot of them are college, maybe boomer, or even mid age. Now, if we're focused on like our some of our products that are sending out direct mail campaigns to like Weather Channel type people, right? Then they are older, right? So it just depends on the base on the channel coming through.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I definitely want to respect time. So I'll close on a few things. So there are marketers, me, who spend 100% of their money online, right? And that's a mindset as well, right? So just give us like 3 action steps that we can take right now to just start to move toward looking at other options like direct mail, right?
So I'll go back to the lead source, right? So what's your lead source, right? In your case, you already have a physical product, so it's very easy because you have physical addresses of people that know, like, and trust you. So the goal is to get people to know, like, and trust, right? So it's watching videos, and we still do Facebook ads, and you might have seen them. So I don't want to like, oh, Ryan just direct mail, because we do other avenues, but it's how we leverage direct mail to really clean house and to really, get results. So first is lead source, then it's the product, and then the system, right? So in your case, right, you have a really good lead source, and then you want to have your direct mail piece. So your piece is either a postcard or your sales letter. The old saying is facts tell, stories sell, right? So I'm always telling my stories of my experiences, right? Because people love to resonate. They love to experience that. I love it, right? When I go to a business conference, people I connect with personally are people that are sharing their experiences and stories. Not someone that's like, okay, this Facebook ad with ABs, but to me, my brain just kind of fries. And it's funny because we spend tons of money on those marketing methods, but I really don't know the fine intricate stuff because I'm focused on a different area. So your after your lead source is your direct mail piece. I say facts tell, stories tell. The more you have, So I'm big on letters over postcards. Now postcards is kind of like the old, this is a hunting analogy, is the spray and pray, right? And they say that, I'm not a hunter, but I've heard that before. Up in the Midwest, everyone seems like they're hunters. So I hear all these hunter terms. I'm from Florida, so I'm like, people boar hunt, but not in Tampa. I'm like, man. But anyway, so the postcard is for that, getting the word out to the masses.
Okay.
The sales letter, I like to be more personal, and you spend more money. So in your case, I would say you have the lead source. I'll make a sales letter. Hey, Anthony here, and the know, like, trust factor, reveal that. Right. Give your offer, right? Your call to action, and to have a system in place to sell it. Yeah. Because I'm very fortunate since this pandemic. Now we're blessed and we've grown offices. We have employees. I've been to my office 4 times in the last 10 weeks. Wow. 4 times, and 2 times was payroll, and people want to get paid. But my brother's my manager. I have people that I trust that are in intricate parts. He's there every day. The thing is, so after you have your lead source, your marketing piece, and your product and what you're selling, then your system to sell it. So those are the 3 things I would really, key away with. And in your case, it's your buyer base, a cool letter that features, a story that you're talking about, your product, your services, and a call to action. And we're big on the phone, really big on bringing people back to the phone, talking to our specialists, our customer support, and taking that next step with them. So that's our process. I know people say they close like $10,000 sales with a 45-minute presentation, and I tip my hat to those people. We do cool things like that too, but we're big on the phone after bringing them through the mail, right, and walking them through the steps.
Right.
So
nice. Yeah. You see who joined me at the office.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Usually mine are napping, right? The same thing going on back here. How old is your son?
He's 8.
Nice. Does he work out with you?
Well, yeah. Actually, at night we go out like right by turn things. Say hi.
Hey, what's up?
It's Anthony Jr.
Anthony Jr. Sweet.
He's his work now on the computer. So now they're being homeschooled. They're being homeschooled now. So basically they have their Chromebooks and they have their homework on their computer. So instead of him sitting at home all day, he'll come to the office with me and learn how to do some business.
That's cool, man. I love it. That's cool. Good for hey, well, he has a cool mentor. So that's I love it, man.
I appreciate it.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah. So anything for us in closing?
Yeah. So, funny story. We're actually showing our direct mail process for the first time. We're actually going to it's called secretinvitation.com. If someone wants to go do it, cool. If not, no hard feelings. This is enough stuff for you. But what I do is we have a case study, and we show a couple of case studies that I've used direct mail in that walk them through getting the leads, structuring your mailing. I talk about how we promoted Russell Brunson's book for .com secrets to launch ClickFunnels, and we were in his top 10 using direct mail. He paid for us to drive Ferraris and Lamborghinis, in Las Vegas at the very first funnel hacking live event. Wow. So that was cool. So I show that case study. I show the case study I used to get married, right? The 70,000 in under 90 days. And then my mentor shows a case study because he's been doing this since 94, right? And the cool thing that we talk about is how this has been consistent. It's been working because of consistency, right? Because we've had to change things and adapt and move with the punches because that's life and that's business. But with the right mindset, staying consistent, you get those results. So we've showed that evolution, of kind of how we did it to where we're at today. So it's just really simple. It's secretinvitation.com or my first and last name, RyanAllaire.com. And that's just my Facebook and Instagram. We have a small following that we have fun with, share direct mail tips and business tips because at the end of my day, my goal is working with, entrepreneurs, people like you. I know you're in the trenches. I get to know your story, and I know you're doing cool things. And to me, because we're all on different, levels, not just saying like financially or making money, but even for myself, right? Like I'm learning things through you, right? And there's things you're doing that I know that I'm not doing, right? And vice versa. So what I love about this industry is it's so cool to meet people that are doing things on all these different areas, chat boxes and this and that. And I can't claim to know that stuff really well. But the cool part is there's always that method. Like you said, it's people are selling, just the strangest things, right? This one guy, he has guitar lessons. He's charging $50 a month. It has 10,000 people every month paying him $50 to learn a guitar lesson. So, so it just shows you, right? The options are in this, which I love. So anything I can do to help you, your tribe, please let me know. You know, I try to make myself available as best as possible, and just to love to serve and help people that are up and coming. If I can help you guys with direct mail, let me know, and I would love to do so.
You definitely serve today, brother. You definitely serve. And my last question was, how we, but you answered that. You got the website, got the name, so we'll link it all down. So thank you again, Ryan. I mean, I appreciate it. And you guys, I mean, typically I'm like not speakers doing podcasts, but this one had me just really just listening and just like reevaluating what I'm doing. So whatever you guys have inside your mind, at your heart, you can create. Whether direct mail is not dead, it's not. You can go out and make millions like Ryan doing direct mail. Whatever you do, keep moving forward, keep pushing, and keep creating because you were born to create. Till next time, guys, we'll see you soon. Have a good day. Bye.